Well, hello there, Retro PC Durham. It's Chris here with, I think has been, I don't know, long-awaited video. I've had quite a few requests since I did the unboxing for this ThinkPad P1 Gen 4 about a month ago, and this is my review of the system a month in. So yeah, let's take a look at how we're going here. Nice carbon fiber weave top. We'll come around to the left side here. Our port action. We have our power port for the 230 watt brick. We have a pair of Thunderbolt ports, HDMI out, and then an audio jack, which does support mic and headphone capability. The rear of the system has no ports, so if you're looking for something like what the P15 or P17 or the P50, P5X and P7X machines where they had ports at the back, not the case on this one. It's only side ports, and that's because actually we'll take a look at that when we look after the other sides here. Right side here we've got Kensington lock, a pair of USB-A, these are 3.2 ports, sorry, and then a full-size SD card slot. Very, very helpful to have this. Front, we have nothing, and then when we go and look on the bottom, we've got some great open ventilation here. You can already see some of the dust buildup from the two fans. There's a fan here and a fan here, and then the whole cooling array that's going through here. And then it might be kind of hard to see if I re-angle the lights here. You can see that now. So all across here you see these openings, and this is all exhaust for the heat from the cooling system. So it works really well, but as you'll see here, because of the small amount of physical space, because of the way the hinge is for the laptop screen, you will get an audible whoosh sound when all that hot air is being pushed through this area. So even when I open it up, we'll do the single fingerprint, right? We can open it up with one. Even when it's opened, right, you're gonna see here, you still only have so much space for that hot air to escape down through the back of the laptop. So that's something to keep in mind when you're using a machine like this. I highly recommend getting a pair of these little legs. There's from Hagibis, something like that. Anyways, I'll try to find the Amazon link where I ordered this from, and put it in the description or the comments, so you can order one of these for yourself. I highly recommend these for any laptop that has any air intake that comes in the inside in the bottom of the laptop to help make sure that you maximize airflow. Just, you know, it puts it up on an angle just a little bit like this, like that, right? And then it's actually nice for typing on, and really good capability. Yeah. Speaking of typing, the keyboard is quite nice. The keyboard is quite nice to type on. I was worried when I first got this that the travel wasn't going to be great on this, because it's not quite as I like compare it to like my Bluetooth wireless keyboard. The keys are a little bit lower on the P1 than on my Bluetooth keyboard. And I was worried that was going to be a bit of an issue, but it's not. It's actually quite comfortable to type on. Yeah, I'm already pretty much used to it. So that's a problem that's been solved already. So now we can just boot up here. I'll just realign a little bit. And you can see our boot up here. Backlit keyboard, obviously. You can use the function spacebar to light up the keyboard. There's our Lenovo logo coming up here. Get that light out of the way so we can see that a little bit better. We'll get logged in here right now. Yeah, so we're logged in to Windows now. I gotta say, for one thing I'll mention here is the screen. This screen is absolutely gorgeous. 600 nit brightness, 400K screen is phenomenal. I find normally in my office, I don't have like really bright lights in here. Like I've got the lights here for when I'm recording, but I normally don't have super bright lights in this office. There's just 4 LED ceiling lights, and that's usually it. And I have to turn down the brightness like to like maybe 60%, or else it actually stresses my eyes a little bit, which is good because when you're out in like full light in a full light setting, you're really going to be getting great quality out of this in terms of screen quality. So this is my first 4K laptop. I've had 1080p and I guess whatever the in between. There's a tweener, the 1440p screens as well. But this is my first 4K large screen that I've ever had, and the high nit count, the high brightness makes a huge difference. So I'm like just on the screen quality alone is like so worth it, so worth it. So let's take a look and see some of the specs and some of the benchmarking that I did just to show, give you some perspective in terms of how the system performs. The first thing we'll take a look at here is with Chrome up and running. I've got the specs for this model up. You may notice here that I have the like Lenovo.com marketing kind of website showing the model that I purchased. PSRef doesn't actually have it listed. There is a model that has the exact same specs but with the French install and French keyboard. But for some reason, the specific one, this 20Y3004JUS doesn't exist in PSRef. There's a 3JUS, which is all the same specs with a 2 terabyte SSD, and a 4JCA, which has a French keyboard and French install of Windows 10. But this specific one isn't there. Anyways, overall specs here, we've got an 11th gen Core i9 11950H processor. So that's an 8-core 16-thread processor, as you can see here. We've got Windows 10 Pro installed. We've got a GeForce RTX 3080 with max Q and 16 gig of memory. I've got a pair of 32 gig DDR 3200 megahertz SODIMMs, and there are 2 memory DIMMs slots on the system, so that's the max upgradability. We have a 1 terabyte Gen 4 NVMe M.2 drive. We have the 16-inch screen here, and this is the 4K 600 nit screen. The power adapter for this being a full workstation laptop with a higher-end GPU and processor, comes with the 230 watt power adapter, the big brick. And then we've got, I guess that's the whole thing, and then it's a non-touch screen. So that's basically the specs that are going on with the system. Here we have the results of our Cinebench R23 test, 10,802. So we rank in, what do we got here? Above the 9980 that was tested. And then when we see the Threadripper 1950X, which is a 16-core 32 thread processor, got 16,000. So not bad. I mean, in terms of the overall performance, it's pretty strong in there. And here for 3D Mark Time Spy, we scored a 6271, which is, pretty, I guess, I don't know, is that crappy? 6477 graphics and a 5315 CPU score. So yeah, I'm just using 3D Mark Basic Edition, so I don't really have any more detailed showing on this one, but that's how she turned out. You should be able to hear the fan noise. Actually, I'll get nice and close. You can definitely hear the fans going. Running the Heaven benchmark here. This was at full screen resolution, so full 4K resolution. We scored a 1086 with an average FPS of 43.1. And then if we take a look at the 1080p benchmark run. Now, bearing in mind, I do have whisper mode in the NVIDIA drivers enabled, so the FPS is capped at 120 on the system. But we got here, this average score is pretty good. considering that in place, so could have gone higher, but of course that would have ramped up the fans even higher than they're already going on here. Yeah, so pretty decent result. So in New World, which I haven't really gotten very heavily into, just trying it out very casually here. This is 1080p full screen at pretty much all medium settings, and I think OBS is chewing up a little bit of resources here, but we average out about between 30 to 40 FPS on this. And then if we go up to 4K, it definitely gets a lot crisper, but the resolution obviously takes a bit of a dive as well. So, you know, from a gaming performance perspective, MMOs are pretty heavy on resources, and yeah, this is just another good example of showing it. But it runs pretty well. Again, with Whisper mode enabled, you know, it is keeping the system from melting itself to be able to present a really good image. So that certainly does have a little bit of a performance limiter as well. And if I brought this down to all low settings, I believe it can get upwards in the average of around 60 FPS, which is, you know, that's the refresh rate of the screen at least, to be able to, you know, equalize that performance. But otherwise, it's a playable experience. There's other first-person games. Obviously, you can get a little bit better performance out of because you're not dealing with like 20 other people on the screen with their customized outfits at the same time as you. That definitely has a big hit in terms of performance in a game like this. Now relaxing to the sights and sounds of our our little view here of 4K Fireplace. Highly recommend. They're on YouTube. 4K Fireplace. Be sure to check out 4K Fireplace on YouTube to get these kinds of relaxing sights and sounds as we wrap up on my review here, my 1 month in on this ThinkPad P1 Gen 4, my new daily driver. I am very happy with the end results of this machine. The performance is great, the look and feel, the fit and finish. It's a premium, top of the line ThinkPad. It has all the ThinkPad things that you expect to have. It is great performance. There are some things that you have to accept as what you could call limitations. The cooling system of the machine, to have it be this thin, does result in you getting, as I mentioned, you know, that audible whoosh that comes out the back. And on very long, 1 or 2 very long play sessions that I've been on it, going hard on it, the area above the keyboard has gotten pretty warm, like not comfortable to the touch, like almost burning. But it cools off very quickly as well. You know, that's something the keyboard itself doesn't get hot to the touch though. So that's the important part there. And it's just because of all that heat coming out this one spot here. And it only has so far it can fit underneath that sometimes it's going to spill out above and come up the front of the screen, that it heats up that bezel area above the keyboard. You may not experience that same thing with, say, a P15 or a P17 because the cooling system exhausts out the sides instead of the rear. And you have a larger space to be able to fit your cooling infrastructure inside those machines. So I would definitely say in future generations, if I were to look at something, if the Lenovo team comes out with like a ThinkPad P16, so like merge the P15 and P17 together into one unit, give it a 16:10 aspect ratio screen like the P1 here has, but have that larger, thicker chassis that gives more cooling infrastructure and offers additional upgradability in terms of capacity for additional drives and memory upgrades and stuff that the P1 obviously doesn't have. It's kind of just 2 memory DIMMs and 1 M.2 slot when you've got a higher end video card. No 2.5-inch drive bays, that type of stuff. If they had that kind of functionality added in with a P16, I would definitely consider looking at a P16, you know, that imaginary model in the future to replace to replace this one. But for the foreseeable future, this is pretty much everything that I wanted to have in a premium ThinkPad in terms of performance, in terms of the screen size and quality. Yeah, and it's great to have it in this form factor that's relatively lightweight considering the amount of performance that it packs. Anyways, that's my full review here of the P1 Gen 4. I hope you find it useful, and I hope you find it enjoyable as well. As always, I hope you're staying safe and healthy, and we'll catch you in the next one.